Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're so back. I know I'm a little late. I'm sorry. I apologize. How are you doing? How's everything? How's post-Thanksgiving? Okay? Y'all doing good? You got everything, you got all the food you got, you spent time enough with the family, and then you just go, okay, I need some space, I hope y'all get that. Because we're well into the holidays. It's welcome to Adam is Chase Podcast, everybody. I watched Arcane season 2, but before I get into that, I want to talk about the holidays and how, I don't know, like I think I've talked about this before, but I've always had this like just utter disdain for the holidays. And it's not because like I'm a Grinch. I mean, I guess I am in a way. It's just every time November 1st hits, especially in retail, when I worked in retail, it was a nightmare because it felt like then we had like all the Christmas shit, and then we had all the Black Friday shit, and then like once Black Friday is done, the crowds usually just doesn't stop. Now, I'm sure it's different nowadays. Like, I'm sure, like, plenty of people don't even shop anymore during Black Friday, probably because it's, like, silly. I'm sure there's some who still do, but, like, I still remember the times of Black Fridays where people would stand in line on Thanksgiving Day at midnight on Black Friday when I would work. And I remember I think every single Black Friday that I worked at in retail, it was like always a fucking line. And it was like, it's, I don't know. It's just a daunting thing when it comes to the holidays because you have no idea like where it all is just going to end. And January feels like, it's nice, but then you get like those, customers who come in and return all the shit that they got for Christmas and it's the wrong size, yada, yada, Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like, it's such a clusterfuck and a nightmare for me just because it's like, I never understand why people get so hung up over like, just trying to make the holidays just perfect when like the whole actuality of it, right, is that like you're there with family, you're not there to just like, get the craziest, most awesome deals ever, because it's the fucking holidays. Who cares, right? But that's the problem, is that corporate America just tells you, no. All these things are important. Buy everything. Buy it all. And it's fucking annoying. Because it takes away from the actual, like, from the special moments of the holidays. Of just being back with your family. It's like been a year since you probably seen each other, like intimately, like together, in the same room and stuff. And it not a lot of people can have that, especially with my family too. So, things are just tough. Things are tough and rough, and you just want to be with your family. Like nowadays, I don't even give a shit about getting presents. Like I could care less. I just want sleep. I just want peace and quiet, and of course, spending time with the family, of course. But like for years, it's just like I've been kind of like, I had this like habit of just having utter disdain for the holidays just because it's like, it's so much because it's always busy. People are complaining. People are rude. Customers are so fucking rude, all the time. And then you deal with other employees who are also fucking rude as well. I don't miss that at all. I don't know how it is still in retail. I'm curious as to like see like if the crowds are still there. I'd imagine it's not because of literally you get everything you need from Amazon, and I would say like 90% of retailers are also doing like online only deals and shit like that, you know. And yeah, that's great. Like that's awesome, but like, you know, again, it's just like the holidays are just the absolute fucking worst, you know. Um yeah, I don't know. I think that I think that's not what the holidays are meant to be, and it makes for a lot of curmudgeons, you know, especially who work in the service industry or in retail, to just be like, oh, the holidays? Yeah, I can't wait for it to be over. It's like literally the day after Halloween, you know, arguably one of the best holidays of the year, Halloween. Um, then November 1st is like, okay, Halloween, go away. It's the holiday now. Pumpkin spice lattes all the time. You have ethnic Santa in the front of your house. You have Snoopy. You have Grinch. We're in the Christmas spirit. You know, it's like aggressive. You know, I don't know. It's always hilarious when the holidays happen, because people, you either get the people who are like, I don't give a shit, which a lot of people are, but like you get those bunch who are just like, if you talk shit about Christmas, I will lose my mind. You know, I just don't understand those people. You know, it's not something to necessarily be taken seriously, in my opinion. But you know, what the fuck do I know? We're talking about Arcane, okay? Arcane season 2. Now, Arcane, made by Christian Link and Alex Yee, who are the showrunners and the creators of the show, have really made, quite possibly, at least for season 1, like one of the best American animated shows of the year, probably. You know, I know a lot of people recommend Blue-Eyed Samurai. I have not seen that yet, and I do make full intention of watching it, and I'm sure that series is really good. But I revel in the fact of like how, you know, something of an IP that didn't really, I feel like, have much lore. I'm sure it had some, but I haven't been a League of Legends guy. I don't play League. I don't even think, I don't think I've ever played League, for that matter. And I've seen streamers play it. Like the other day, I saw Ludwig play it, and I watched a little bit of it. A lot of League players play it. A lot of Twitch streamers play League, and yeah, I've been fascinated, but not enough for me to just go, yeah, I got to jump in. It's just another fucking video game for me to jump in. I'm a bad gamer. I'm in general, I'm just a really bad gamer. I'm really bad. I had one Twitch live stream that will never see the light of day, of me playing Dying Light, and I like, because it's hard. Like, I gotta say, like, Twitch streamers, like, it's really hard to lock in on a video game and still have the commentary and still have all of the things that, you know, what entails a good streamer should do. I just don't have that. I just like, you know, talking about movies in front of a microphone and a camera, and just, you know, like Charlie Sheen, just fucking go, you know. Yeah, I think that this show is really groundbreaking in terms of, like, you know, storytelling through a medium that isn't necessarily like widely popularized. Does that make sense? Like a lot of people, like even people who don't even watch like anime or any animated stuff, would like hit me up and go like, have you seen Arcane? This show is fucking crazy. It's nuts. And I'm like, I like, it is crazy, because it's like, the show does a very good job of like telling you a story about these sisters, but like the sisters are just the focal point of what the entire world is. And the world is fascinating, from the world of like Piltover, like the class struggle between like the higher class of like the Piltover people, and then, you know, the undercity of Zon. You know, I think that's like a great, you know, it's like a great jumping off point. I know a lot of shows have done variations of that, but I feel like this show really points to why we relate to characters so much, and the struggles that they have within, while also building the world as not one for one depiction of what we go through in America, but definitely like the idea of a class struggle is very fucking real. And I love that. I think when shows kind of, you know, push social commentary, I don't want to say political commentary, because that's just like, sure that there is that, but like just to put that aside, the social commentary of it all, of just human beings just trying to survive, and they're just, you know, they are impoverished. They don't have really, you know, much going on, as opposed to like, you know, the people of Piltover, who are very rich, very high class society, you know, that feels like it's unaccessible to, or from the people of Zon, which is on purpose. And all of season one of Arcane really set up for the severance of the relationship between Violet and Jinx, formerly Powder. And when you have these two main characters who are, you know, the literal focal point of the story, and have them split, but have the same, not objective, but the same passion and the same enthusiasm for wanting to make an identity for themselves, and really push this idea that you know, whether or not you agree or disagree with, you know, siblings or anything of that sort, you realize that like a part of you is missing, and it's hard to conceive that idea until it's already too late, right? Until it's like you realize that, oh, this person who has been missing, you know, for a while in my life, I need the most, because, you know, the world is already dark and murky, and it's horrible, and the last thing you want to be is alone. And Arcane has struck me in so many ways, you know. I know people have like a lot of takeaways from it, but to just go into season two, I feel like season two has had a huge emphasis on their relationship, Jinx and Violet, but also in like the aftermath of what Jinx has done in terms of like an uprising, you know, in fighting against you know, the enforcers, I think, of Piltover, and the Noxian, Noxian, right? I think that is like the main overall thing of it, right? And having Violet, you know, be on one side, and Jinx being on the other, I think is powerful, because you realize when it gets to the end, you go, oh, they have so many things in common, but yet they just don't connect, because, you know, they have personal disagreements, but also like, you know, adversity to like the government, which, you know, Violet was a part of in season 2, and Jinx kind of like, just clowned on her for that, which is understandable. But given what Violet's position was, she didn't really have a choice, so she had to she had to essentially fight with fight the oppression, or fight with the oppression, which only makes matters worse in terms of like where the people are in Zaun. So you have now Violet, who is familiar with Zaun, who was from the Undercity, is now like getting that glimpse and taste of the built over privilege, I guess, by way of Caitlyn, who she developed a crush, I think in season 1, and then it just sort of like kind of bloomed more and more, and in season 2 you really see them really be close. And yeah, because I'm just trying to rack my head around everything that's just been happening with season 2, and it was a couple of days ago, so bear with me. I'm kind of, I have some notes on it. I will say all the things that I'm talking about in season 2, it is going to be spoilerific, so just so you know, there will be chapters on this ep, but yeah, like I said, it's just, the show is phenomenal in so many ways, because of the animation, because of the action, because of the fight sequences. Like, this show really pushed those boundaries of making it interesting story wise, but utilizing the action sequences and the overall environment of of Zaun and Piltover as like one like big giant vast world that can fork into many different directions, which I will kind of get into. But in the season, in season 2, I got the wiki up. The conflict kind of gets ramped up, right? And the relationship between Jace and Victor from season 1, who really, like, that was like kind of my favorite of the plots, was those two characters as well, because they also kind of developed a friendship, like a really close friendship, one that didn't begin all that great, and then you see that they, like Violet and Jinx, they really gone closer because of the same thought process that they had, and they understood each other on a molecular level. And then once Victor died, and then he comes back by way of Jace trying to save him, and then he does inevitably save him, kind of fixes him and his walking. Like, he used a cane to walk all of season 1, and and then in season 2 he was kind of like incubated in this giant spherical kind of like anomalous power that Victor was able to imbue himself in. Now has the ability to create life, but also understand annihilation and the beauty of it all, right? It sounds it sounds intense, but when you watch the show actually play out, it's really nice. And that relationship and how they split apart, and that whole entire season was them kind of reconnecting themselves back to what was important to each other. Violet and Jinx are just beginning to make the relationship kind of become the thing that, you know, was there in the beginning, in the very beginning, in the first season. And how they did that with Violet and Jinx, it was very genius. Because Vander, who was their kind of like their adoptive father, sort of, you know, looked after these two. And Vander was the one who made sure that they are always together at all times, no matter what. And I think that's special. I think that's a very beautiful, beautiful thing for a character like Vander to have, because, like, you know, that's exactly what their mother wanted, you know, as what we saw in like flashback episodes and stuff in season 2. I feel like, I don't know. There was a lot going on in season 2, I feel like, which kind of made me feel like I need to rewatch the series again, but I don't think I will do that anytime soon. But season 2 definitely felt like it ramped up in terms of story from all the characters, but like kind of like sped through. You know what I mean? And there wasn't enough interesting detail that we could have extrapolated from, like Mel, right? Mel, who was like a politician in Piltover, and her mother passed away in season 1, and in season 2, she has this like power that was more passive, I guess. And then when Piltover was attacked from Jinx at the end of season 1, she was kind of like stuck in this like limbo area, like this afterlife limbo, where she had to discover her ability of magic, essentially, which felt like it came out of nowhere. Not that it was a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that there wasn't enough for at least for me as the audience to understand her struggle and her way of getting to that point. But I could be wrong. I feel like maybe that was already addressed in season 1, but I didn't remember because there's been quite some time between that. But yeah, I think that the story overall between Mel, between Victor, you know, and even Jace, I guess, for that matter, it just felt like things were just going to be rushed at all times, you know, just to get the plot moving, which I don't know how I feel about, because you already have this rich environment of all these characters. It's just it would just be easier and more satisfying once you get to the end of the season to really understand the struggles of these characters and how they have their full circle moment of, you know, realizing their power, understanding where it came from, and where it could possibly go. And it just it didn't feel like it was there at all times in this season. Just because like the story was rushed. Like, you know, aside from the Jinx and Violet storylines, I felt like those for the most part were pretty justified. But yeah, I think that there was a lot of things in this season that I felt like, oh, I would like to know more about this. Like take for Victor for an instance, right? Victor realizes his power of healing and annihilation, and using the anomalous power. I keep forgetting the name of it, but it's not using Hex Gate stuff. It's just like the I forgot the name of it, but like it's I'm sure if I find it, it will it'll come to me. But yeah, it's just like the power of Hex Tech was kind of like the the cause of conflict in season 1, and in season 2 it was like the journey of Jace trying to shut that down, you know, um, along with Echo and all that, which I appreciated. Like I will say Echo's storyline was fantastic. Just because like we got a chance to know him with the flashback episode, not a flashback, but like a different reality, like a different timeline that Echo was part of. Because I guess like yeah, he was like jettisoned into a different dimension. In season 1 maybe, or something happened to him. I can't remember what, but like yeah, his journey was very interesting. In of itself, because you know he did grow fond of of Jinx, you know, in that interim of him, you know, being in this different dimension, along with you know Heimerdinger and all those, or yeah, just Heimerdinger, I guess, who also understood that he was in a different dimension, you know, and those two kind of like found their way together to build a machine that can bring Echo back into the dimension that he was normally part of. And I think that it was a great, phenomenal storyline. It was heartbreaking because I knew that like there was a contentiousness of Jinx and Echo. Like they had a whole fight scene, I think, in season 1. And to see him kind of grow into a more empathetic and understanding character by just spending time with Jinx and her thought process. And in that dimension, Violet was gone. And she was struggling to discover her own identity, because the thing that, you know, was always there with her at all times is gone. So she has to find a way to kind of carry on with her life without Violet, you know? And it was like great sentimental moment for Echo to just sort of like paint a mural to showcase Jinx, like how much of a hero Violet is in his dimension, you know? But he says that he, you know, saw her in a dream and stuff like that and whatnot. And yeah, I just think that that's a powerful, you know, storyline just in that episode alone. And that's the thing. It's like I felt like with season 1, there was a major difference with season 2, is that each episode felt like it was its own little vignette, like it was its own little story that did connect, you know, through each episode, you know, in a daisy chain, but it still kind of stood alone. It stood for itself in each episode. That doesn't feel like it was just, you know, just trying to move the plot along. And I felt like with a couple of these episodes, I would say like probably like episode 8, you know, and you know, like yeah, I think like episode 8 of season 2, Killing is a Cycle. Yeah, I just you know, it was important because it was like Violet, you know, trying to reach to Jinx, and Jinx just knows to break the cycle of violence, you know, by way of an imagination from Silco, you know, like you know this, you know this entity, force entity, who essentially told Jinx that like you just got to break that cycle. And I think that was important, but there were maybe not full episodes, so I'll take that back. I don't think it was full episodes that felt like, you know, oh, this is just redundant. There was just like moments of each episode that felt like, okay, we're just kind of moving the plot along without really fully embracing like some of the characters that isn't just Jinx and Violet, but I understand why, because sure, this is the last season. Because at the end, like in episode 9, was fucking powerful. It was a very powerful episode. Because then you got the tragedy of Vander, who became a kind of like an abomination, like just became this beast, I think called Warwick, I think. So all of his subconsciousness after he died went into this beast, and the beast, holds all the knowledge that Vander had, or at least the memories that he had, and kind of shows it in like a watercolor thing that feels like, ethereal, but close enough for the beast and Vander to come together and understand. And there was one point where Jinx needed Violet's help to get Vander back, and that was like the moment where they then finally come together. They had to beat the shit out of each other because they were just still fucking really angry at one another, but then knows that like once Vander needs that help, they were there for him. So in turn, it made Jinx and Violet come back together and go, okay, this is important. This is why we are here. And I think that that's great. I think that whole storyline was heartbreaking and fantastic. But the emotional impact to episode 9 didn't feel like it hit as hard as it should have for me. By way of that, because it just felt like then the beast, or, Vander, was just then like, imbued with this anomalous power. So all of Vander is essentially gone. And in episode 9, the beast is just the beast, or Warwick or whatever, that is just like imbued with the anomaly power from Victor, that Victor chose to control, in opposition of the enforcers of people of Piltover, who wanted to shut the Hex Gates down and end all of this completely by help of Jace. And I think that that's interesting, but there wasn't enough to tell me why Victor kind of gotten to that place at all. Because it just felt like, Jace had this whole episode arc where he saw what the Hex Gates did and that power did in totally annihilating not only just the Undercity, but Piltover, period. Like it completely just erased everything in post-apocalyptic fashion. So we're kind of led to believe that, Jace was shot into the future, so that Jace had to come back and shut all that shit down. Did I feel like there could have been a conversation a little bit about it? Yeah. And I know we kind of got that end in season 9, that Victor finally saw the aftermath of the destruction that he has made, and made the realization that, like, pure chaos is the only thing that's going to throw everything off its kilter. And that's exactly what has happened in episode 9 by way of echo. But like, again, it felt like the story definitely dragging its feet sounds a little harsher than I want it to be, but it did not openly give the audience enough time to really wrap their heads around what Victor's mindset was and Jace's mindset was. And we just kind of see the end result of it being, we just got to shut Victor down and we got to save, their world, essentially. And I don't know. I thought that the intention was good. I thought the the delivery was fine, but it's just there was missing exposition in my opinion. Now y'all might disagree, but that doesn't mean that season 2 was bad. It was just because season 2 was fantastic in terms of the animation, the action sequences. Also, I will say in season 2, I don't know if it was because you saw a little bit in season 1, but I don't know if it was intentional with season 2, where you see a lot more cinematic shots. You see a lot more like use of lighting and shadows and interesting locked camera angles, of like following Jace's like giant axe hammer, or in episode 9 we saw the camera locked on Echo right behind him, kind of soaring through Treasure Planet style with his like little hoverboard thing, kind of going through the city of Piltover, helping out Jinx in the final hurrah of destroying the Noxian people and Mbassa. Yeah, which is also another character that I felt like, okay, like she just, like just it felt like all of a sudden just like declared like martial law on Piltover, which is kind of ironic considering what's happening right now in South Korea with its president declaring martial law. Although I did see right before I recorded that they were going to end martial law, or like there was talks of seizing the martial law, which is terrifying in real life. But like seeing it in Arcane season 2, it felt like Mbassa was there was a reason for this. There was like an impetus that was lost to me. And I think it might be because I'm just an idiot. I don't know, but like I didn't. It felt like it was out of nowhere. And her history with Mel, and Mel even like seeing her brother, in that limbo state where she was discovering her witch powers and stuff. I just felt like there was so much more to be told with those storylines. And I did read that, there could possibly be spin-offs, which I mean, that's great. I think that's interesting. Because I think like there's still a lot more in the world to discover, but to have season 2 end the way that it did, it felt like it did a disservice of itself, because there's so much more story to be told. But I think maybe it was just the showrunner's idea to just like have it, with these 2 season arcs, and that's it. And then we can get on with like other characters of the League of Legends kind of roster of exemplary characters and stuff, which is great. I think that's fun. It's just, again, I just feel like there could have been so much more happening had it not be, for, just one season to just get all of these storylines across and all of these things, addressed, and then just blaze right through the plot, which is fine. But, it definitely felt like there was a bit of rushness to it. But overall, I think the season was still good. I think that it did its justice of showing its truest potential of cinematic storytelling by way of animation, and utilizing that in playing in the world of Piltover and Zaun in the show. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think the show was great. Like I said, like I think the fight sequences, the cinematic shots were fantastic. The use of colors and like hand-drawn frames felt a lot like Sailor Moon, which is fantastic. and the use of colors and its use of like, going back into memories of like using watercolor painting was phenomenal. It was so great, and it executed very well in the story itself. It's just the thing that I wish was that the characters had a little more screen time, a little more development, and a little more consideration for how these characters arrived at the conclusion that they did, between Mbassa to Mel to Jace to Victor, and even Warwick, Vander. You know, I just felt like there could have been a lot more to be said. But yeah, I think it was an interesting ride. I want to know what y'all think. But yeah, your boy is just going to be watching movies. I think for the rest of the year, because well, maybe that's not true. I'm going to be going out of town for the holidays to see my fam bam in California. So I will be watching movies. But I have a few ideas as to where what I'm going to do in terms of recording these episodes and have it out on a timely fashion, which could be, I think, 3 episodes a week for just 2 weeks, starting on Christmas week and then well into the New Year. So I think, yeah, it's just going to be only those 2 weeks that I'll try to record as much as I possibly can. With the little amount of time that I have, but yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do with that. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be movies, y'all. Nothing against shows. I just think that, like, for me, movies is just like, it's easier for me to just like have all my thoughts together and have it fresh in my mind, so that I don't have to constantly refer to notes all the time. Like, I know I forgot a whole bunch of shit with Arcane, and I know, like any other episode that I record, after I record it and I watch it through again, I realize, oh fuck, I should have mentioned, these other X amount of things. So yeah, it's just, I'm going vibes based. I'm going what I see in the storyline, of what left a mark with me, which is why I do this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, even things that I just don't agree with, or that I don't, it doesn't tickle my fancy, doesn't mean that it's bad in any shape or form. It's just, there are just certain things that just isn't for me. But yeah, I think Arcane is a fantastic show. I do recommend it. And maybe y'all have your own takeaways from it that is very different from mine, and that's totally fair. But yeah, what else is next on the docket? For movies. So there's a few movies. There's a few older films that I want to watch. Some 80s classics that I want to revisit, that I haven't watched in years. Along with like newer films. I do have Megalopolis ready. I just got to sit down and watch it. I just, I don't know. I'm dragging my feet with it, but I'm sure once I watch it, I'll have my thoughts on it. But yeah, there's a lot, and also we're continuing the Paranormal Activity series. I talked about the marked ones, which was the 5th of the franchise, the 5th film of the franchise. And yeah, I think it's been an interesting ride. I haven't read anything about it. I haven't seen any spoilers as of yet. But I think there are 2 more movies. I'm pretty sure some about the final dimension or the ghost dimension. I think it's called the ghost dimension that I need to watch, and then Next of Kin, I think. So it's just those 2 films. And then I'll be done. And then I might do a little, like, maybe tier list, or maybe I'm just going to be ranking the films. Yeah, I might do a tier list. Fuck it. Who cares? But Yeah, that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, this month might be a little wacky in terms of uploads. So I apologize for that, but you're still gonna get some potties from your boy. Okay, so episodes are still gonna be coming out. It's just it might be a little wild. But yeah, hopefully I'll lock in with a better schedule. But for the most part, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Don't talk to strangers. Drink plenty of water. Double knot your laces. And I'll see y'all in the next one. All right. Take care. Bye bye for now.